Welcome to eVision Live, your broadcast with Dr. Alexandra Kleeberg
and Dietrich Busaka. It's a broadcast on Teach and Train Self-Healing.
Brought to you by the eVision Institute, and the topic of the month is our heart. Everybody knows where the heart is? Right in the middle here, because this is actually a point when you ask sometimes children today, they don't even know where their heart is. So today's topic is stress. The last episode was on the autonomous nervous system, and we already talked a little bit also about stress factors, but stress really is going to be the topic today. Stress for the heart, which is one of the main problems of our day's society.
And the diseases and death rates, yes.
Anybody of you already had stress in his or her life? Please leave us a message down here below. Yes, and so what we're going to talk about, what is the topic? So first of all, what is stress? Really, we're going to dive into what is stress all about. Second, we will give you 4 ways on how to deal with your stress, really how to release it rapidly. And the last question is really how to prevent stress. So first of all, how, if you're in the stress situation, how you can rapidly release stress, and then, but also how can you change your life? What can you do in order to be less in stressful situations, and how to deal better with this? So, Alexandra, let's get into it. What is stress? Sometimes we have stress actually when before starting this broadcast, but
yes, stress is an arousal in the body. And stress research shows that it's very, very individual. So some actors might have stress before they go on stage, and others might not have it. My doctor colleague Michael Schlati always tells the story. His wife has a motorcycle, a big one, and she loves to ride the motorcycle really fast. And she's sitting in front, and he's sitting in back, and he says she has a lot of fun, and he is stressed all the time because he can't control it, and he can't even see it. He's a little small guy, and his wife is quite big, so it's stressful for him because he can't control it. And if we look at the research, people have different things where they are stressed about. Some love bungee jumping or paragliding or flying by airplanes, and for some this is very, very stressful. So most of the stresses we have are individual. That's very important.
Also the stress in our daily life, like the stress when I'm in work, the stress,
yes,
everything is rather individual.
Yes, like when we compare each other, when you have problems in your company, you're not stressed. You say, oh, we'll work that out or so.
I have some problems, some challenges to solve.
So you keep quiet. And when I have stress in my practice or something like that, it's a lot of arousal within me. So we are quite different in that, how we deal with it.
And also sometimes also has the feeling actually to be very effective and to be very creative. I need a little bit of stress.
Yes, I think you need more adventure than I do. And you have, I think, a job which is more stressful probably than my job, but you're not stressed as much, I think. You can sleep everywhere around the planet. You don't think of
normally,
whatever
yes,
is bothering
yes,
you.
okay.
So I think even that is very individual. And I think it's also different if you're a man or if you're a woman, but we won't get into that now. But there is one common factor that is stressful for almost everybody on this earth, and it goes together with us human beings being on earth. And this is loss.
Loss.
Either
Okay.
loss of a dear person,
Mm-hmm.
loss of a home, loss of a job, loss of health or whatever. Mostly it's loss of a person.
Mm-hmm.
And
So loss of the community, of the relations, the
Yes.
security
Yes.
which is related to
yes,
that.
for example, heart attacks go up for single person who are not networked in a community,
Mm-hmm.
and the death rate goes up when somebody close by dies. So sometimes you experience it with couples who've been together very, very long,
Mhm.
and then one of the couple dies, and 1 or 2 years later the other one dies. So
Mhm.
this is a basic human stress, the fear of loss. The fear of loss of stability, of reliability, of love, of belonging to a group or whatever. And I think actually this is the stress for all sorts of diseases underlying them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what does it, this is stress, what does it actually cause in your body? What happens in in my body
Well, I
when I'm
said
getting to the stress?
last time we explained the autonomous nervous
Yes.
system, and I think this is really, really important for every child and every family and every working place to understand.
Mm-hmm.
We have these two nervous systems within the autonomous nervous system. It's the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system, it just arouses when we fear something. It comes from many, many, many hundred and thousands of years ago when we were in the savannah and a lion came. So this system gets you together with all your energy. It's put into the arms and into the legs to run or to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And we still are programmed by the system. It goes up when we are fearful.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't differentiate if it's a real fear or if it's an imaginary fear.
Okay.
So people who went through the savannah and saw something yellow, they reacted as if there were a lion, even if there weren't a lion at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that the system reacts to imagination as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because that helped us to survive, to anticipate something, to intuit something, and for that we need imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And now we live in a world with this old system, and we get confronted by fear from newspapers, from television, maybe from neighbors, maybe from friends, from family, when children come from school or whatever. So fear is everywhere, and fear is a very, very good commercial system.
Yes.
A lot of, I think I discussed it in my speeches with a lot of people, probably more than half of the industry would be
fear related.
Is fear related.
Yeah.
It's the military, it's the insurances, it's the pharmacy, it's part of the education system sometimes. So there are a lot of fear related pharmacies, psychotherapists, they profit from fear. And so fear is a good money maker. That's why this system is probably being kept alive. But fear is okay if we run away from the lion and then relax after 15 minutes. So it's okay to have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times fear in your day for maybe 3 to 5 minutes. And then calm down.
But don't keep it for hours.
No, that's not how the system works. It exhausts if we keep it for hours, if we keep it during the night, if we keep it over weeks, over months, or years. That's not what the body is meant for. It's for this acute fear, running away or attacking, and then the body needs to calm down again. So this is really dangerous and life-threatening to lengthen the fear, although there is no fearful real situation.
So let's get into it. What could be if you are really in a stressful situation? we said there are 4 ways that we could really get immediate dissolution of the stress. We could solve it in a few moments.
Yes.
What would be your tips for this?
The energy goes to the arms and to the legs,
Mm-hmm.
so it's probably good to move to get this energy out. The other thing is, which is maybe prior to that, if you've checked that this is not really life-threatening, there is no lion around, it's just the boss or the husband or the child. If you've realized that, is then just to breathe.
Yes, that was your thing. First of all, especially to breathe out. Right?
Breathe out. So the system calms down.
As we learned, the heart is related to the breath 4 to 1. So
Yes.
we try to really to calm down our breath, make it slowly, keep the breath inside, and then let
Breathe
it go
out. Yes, breathe
out.
tension out, breathe pain out, breathe fear out, or whatever. The third advice is that we got from the animals who ran away from the lions, for example. They hide in the bushes or someplace till the lion is gone, and then they look and everything is safe, and they get up, and what do? They shake.
They shake.
Shake. Really, so the whole body shakes.
Okay.
To shake, because fear is related to stiffness
Mm-hmm.
and to being tight and just to loosen up again. Shake. Very important.
Mhm.
Shake.
So this is very. And then you said, well, for the movement, what kind of movement? Should I run or should I
You
dance?
can run,
or?
you can dance, you can go on, you can jump or whatever. Just
Mhm.
get this energy out of the legs and arms.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you can also, if you're free from the situation, you can laugh, you can yawn or whatever, just to relax back into
Mhm.
your center.
And there's then the fourth method, especially I would say probably for people who had lost maybe somebody already yes, they lost somebody, for example, or which are rather another way is stressed.
Yes,
It
if
is-
they found out that one thing that reduces fear, they
And stress.
had an ape in a laboratory, and he was fearful. They did something, so he
Mhm.
became fearful, and then they let in another ape,
Mhm.
and that one just hugged the other ape,
Okay.
and the fear was gone, the stress
The
was
fear,
gone
stress,
out of the
stress, and
system.
so
If you
carries.
don't have another ape at home, and if your husband or your wife doesn't want to be your ape, then you have 2 hands, and you just do it yourself. You have to do it for a while till the body believes that it's really getting careless, but that works too.
That works as well.
Yes.
Okay. And then you said also one stress factor is this point of, well, not having a feeling of not being enough.
I think the stress we have is grounded in this fear of loss.
Fear of loss, okay.
And if we don't feel loved in the way we need to be loved, we are fearful of losing contact to the mother, to the father, their admiration or their caring for. So this is also very deeply rooted, yes.
And as I meant not feeling enough, that I'm not enough for
Yes,
for this society to be
yes,
loved.
and
or-
this makes the fear of being thrown out of this society. So
Okay.
this is also the fear of loss,
Okay.
of losing people, of losing connection, of losing love.
And your hypothesis would be this is one major cause really of all this.
Yes, I think it's very ingrained in your brain,
Mhm.
the loss of community, of a partner, of contact, because in these old civilizations millions years ago, we were dependent on the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And every time somebody was pushed out, it was a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
this is still in our brain, and this arises fear and stress and anxiety, and this can even cause symptoms.
Yes, but at that time, let's see, the tribe or the community was also a factor of stabilization. So,
Yes.
for example, as to just to repeat the research on longevity, people living in a functioning community live much longer.
Yes, and they are healthy till their last breath on earth.
Because they don't have this level of stress that we are
Yes.
facing nowadays.
Yes.
And they don't have to feel that much.
Yes.
Because even if they lose something, they are somehow stabilized by their community.
Yes, so this is very important, to have a tribe, to have a community or a swarm where you can be in the way you are, where you're respected, where you're cared for, and where you're respected, so, and which you can rely on.
Mm-hmm. So, is there anything, now we have 4 ways how to dissolve stress, and is there anything else besides the community, any other things that we can do in order to, let's see, to prevent that we're getting into stress models? Or
I think the best is a community, a family, a network, friends, and so forth, to reduce stress, or a working place or whatever. But not everybody has this, and so you have to do something about it. You can't just get a community for that person.
yeah.
So what you can do, as I said, our brain is very, very intelligent, and I think the most intelligence it has, that it can differentiate between the so-called reality and the imagination. So if you sip on a lemon and swallow this imaginary juice, your body will react. So there are a lot of examples I can show that the body reacts to imagination. And if you read in the newspaper, oh, the money is getting worse, less and less and less,
I imagine
just
immediately that my bank account will go down,
Yes.
although maybe it hasn't
yes.
been yet.
So a lot of the system works with imagination. Imagination is neutral. You can change it for the better or for the worse.
Yeah.
So if you don't have this community, if you don't have a family, maybe if you don't have a partner, you are single, it's quite hard to be fearless, because that's not the natural state. We human beings are tribe members. But you can do something about it. You use your imagination. You imagine maybe a family. You imagine angels behind you. You imagine power animals on your side. You imagine a deep connection with God, for example, or with the universe. That is, with your imagination, you go out in your awareness and you create some sort of community of angels or of power animals or of friends or of fairies or whatever. So you can get the feeling of being safe and being loved and belonging to some sort of imaginary community. So this you can do with your imagination every day, a few times a day, so you don't feel lost in this world.
Awesome.
And
Just trying to imagine how this can function. That I can imagine.
The story of one of my clients, I think I've told you before, is she had a family who hated her, and she had a very, very terrible story, and she felt alone, and she didn't like to contact people because she didn't feel that she's normal. So I said, you have to create a family. And she said, oh, how can I do that? And I said, just imagine a father, imagine a mother. And she said, And then about a few weeks after this, she came and said, I saw this great family on television. And I took the mother and I took the father, and they just adopted me. and she went with this imagination, and after a week she came and said, "Oh, Alexandra, this is crazy. They're not real." I said, "Of course they're not real, but they are your imagination. Do they feel good?" And she said, "Yes, I feel very good." And I said, "Stay with it." And she stayed with it and stayed with it until they became sort of real, or the feeling of being loved became real. And this helped her to get in touch with her original family, and this also helped her to get in touch with other people, because she didn't feel that bad anymore. She felt being loved and being something which needs to be respected.
I think one element that you said is important. You ask her, how does it feel? So if it feels good in your body, the image you have, then it's something that is good for you. You can trust your body, as we said last time, you can trust your body.
Yes, and very many stories in religion work like that. Like some people imagine Jesus on their side, or Allah, or whatever, so they don't feel alone. So this is very important, or Maria Magdalena, or whoever. It's very, very important to have these images in religions, in fairy tales, in mythology, because it helps you to stay connected and feel loved. So this is the best I recommend if you want to get the stress level down and feel supported and strengthened and safe in this wild world.
And to prevent that you're getting into the stress.
Yes.
So this helps you and guides you through the day. So I think we're almost at the end. So let's wrap up a little bit. So we had this explanations on stress. What is stress and how dangerous it is actually for our health. It causes so many, especially heart-related diseases. We had 4 rapid solutions: breathe, shake, move, and caress. And we had a rather solution which also probably can be on a short-term basis, but much more on a long-term basis, is imagine.
Yes.
Use your imagination, use the power of imagination to get out and prevent stress situations. And then, last of all, be sure community which is giving you and providing you a safe space and cares of you in case you are in problems.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for being here. I hope it was useful for you, and please leave your comments below and give us maybe a thumb up or a heart. We love this. And especially this Facebook has invited a very, very special button, this share button. So thank you to Mark Zuckerberg. Please push the share button so anybody else who is suffering from stress can profit from this conversation between us. And if you want to know more, please join our Facebook group, Self-Healing and Potential Development. There we will exchange on these topics. You can exchange between each other, and please let us know what are your special remedies for stress.
So, thank you for watching, and open your heart and start.